Chapter 74. Fight or Wait. His body was pressed against the cold hard floor, his eyelids slowly started to open and all he could see was a white light. For a moment while Quinn was sleeping, he had forgotten about everything that happened. But as soon as he looked around him and realized where he was, and he knew that everything wasn't a dream. Right now he wasn't at the school but was on a completely different planet miles away from home. As he stood up and started to stretch, there was no way for him to tell how long he was out for, but his body felt good. It was a surprise that he slept so well on the floor without a bed. Without realizing it, he was more exhausted than he thought. Not only physically exhausted for fighting against the beast but also mentally exhausting. The constant fear of the unknown was a terrible thing that slowly would eat away at him. Your hunger grows. Daily quest complete. Avoid direct sunlight for 8 hours. And at last, the system message had appeared. This meant that in one more day's time the system would inform him that he needed to consume human blood. He was okay for now as he still had 50 milliliters of blood in his bank. As long as he didn't get in any more fights, he would be fine. The most important thing for him to do now was to find that portal. As he went to open the steel door, Quinn was half expecting that the sun might be out. After all, the message appearing meant it was a new day. However, he was unsure whether the system clock was related to the time on Earth. The daily quest reset every day at midnight, but if he was in another country, midnight would be different, and right now he was on another planet. But as he opened the door, he was surprised to see it was still night out. However, his mind was quickly distracted by something else. Quinn immediately closed the door back up to the container. He placed his hand on his chest, feeling his heart beating at an incredible speed. What was that? Quinn thought. That was no rat, that's for sure. This time Quinn went to the steel door again. He placed his hand on the metallic handle once again and slowly opened the door to take a peek, and as he did, a large beast stood inside the hangar. With the body of the human but the bottom half of a scorpion-like creature, Quinn couldn't make out what it was. From the human half of its body, it also had 2 claws on each side. Inspect. With his new inspect skill, it seemed to now work at a greater distance. Skordana. Intermediate level beast. After finding out what little information was available about the beast, Quinn quickly closed the door once again. Although Quinn had grown 3 levels while inside the container, he still felt like dealing with an intermediate beast would almost be impossible for him. The weakest of intermediate beasts were at least 10 times stronger than a basic tier beast. Of course, this would depend on the beast, for there were some beasts that were just easier to deal with than others no matter what tier they were at. But looking at the creature, Quinn could tell it would be a tough battle. Instead, he decided to remain inside the capsule until the beast had eventually disappeared. It wasn't here when he first entered, so there was always the chance it could leave. After waiting for what felt like a considerable amount of time, he decided to open the door once again to check if the beast was still there, and unfortunately it was. That was when Quinn noticed something else that was in the hangar that wasn't there before. There were 3 round objects right next to the Skordana placed in a pile of scrap metal. Are those eggs? Quinn thought. Inspect. Skordana eggs. Intermediate beast level. As he saw the eggs, a horrible thought had entered his mind. Quinn hadn't noticed them before, meaning she must have just laid them out while he was in the container, or they might have been hidden somewhere. But the first was more likely. Now the fact that her eggs were here meant the beast would protect them until they hatched, or at least it wouldn't be moving for a while. Quinn had 2 options. He could continue to wait in the container hoping that the mother would have to go out and hunt for food for herself in a while, but beast bodies were completely different compared to humans. Sometimes a single meal could last them weeks before they had to go hunting again for another one. This felt like a risky option for Quinn, for he himself was on a time frame. Then there was the second option. If the Skordana had just given birth, then there was a chance she was weaker compared to usual. With the second option, he had to make a decision as soon as possible. The longer he waited, the more chance the beast had of recovering. In the end, Quinn gritted his teeth and stepped out of the container. Before even thinking of fighting against the beast, he would try his best to sneak out. The entrance to the front of the hangar was completely destroyed. The beast, when entering, had ripped apart the two metallic doors before coming in. The problem was the beast was blocking that exit, but that still left Quinn with the small hole in the wall from where he had entered. Carefully moving in between piles of scrap metal and rubbish, Quinn slowly moved across the room to the other side where he had first entered. Then when he finally had reached the hole, he could see something else entering from the other side. It was a Rataclaw. Oh no! As soon as the Rataclaw pulled its body through the small hole, it immediately looked up to see Quinn. Before he even had a chance to run away, the Rataclaw started squealing like mad. "Shut up! Why did you have to come here now of all times?" Then the sound of several steps was heard from behind. Quinn didn't have to turn around to know what it was, but he did so anyway, and as he did, a giant claw was swung down towards his head. Flash step. At the last second, Quinn performed his flash step skill, avoiding the claw, but he couldn't say the same for the Rataclaw. It had been completely hammered and smashed to the ground in a single strike. "I guess we're doing this then,"